What's up my beautiful people, and welcome back to another Reddit reading video. Today we're going to be doing r/ProRevenge, almost as always. I know I do this a lot, but I'm telling you, you gotta really catch on to these stories because they are so good. These things run deep. I don't think I'll ever stop reading r/ProRevenge. Even if I start doing some other stuff, this will always be number one. So let's get into the story. 98%. It all started on the first day of college, many moons ago. I was new, she was new. We didn't know jack about the campus or the life. We started out as friends. It deteriorated fast from there. The girl, I'll call her Jane for simplicity, though that's not her real name, was this tall, high-pitched, isn't that cute blonde girl. At first, I thought she was harmless, and while I don't subscribe to that kind of behavior, I did not judge her for it. For the first 2 weeks, things were fine. We were branching out and making new friends. And then, she was friends with all my friends and eventually moved into my dorm. I thought it was a bit extreme as she hadn't spoken to us about it first, but we let it happen. We were friends. Then, after talking about body image issues, she started making these little comments. Nothing too out there, but things that were noticeable to me because they were aimed, but not to other people because they were casual. Like, don't you ever exercise? And when was the last time you had a salad? I told myself I was being hypersensitive because it was on my mind, but quickly realized it wasn't me, it was her. Whenever we were alone, there were marks were suddenly scathing and cut really deep. I told my friends about it and she told me I was being sensitive. Jane was too sweet to say anything like that. You put in context where there isn't any, so I let it drop. Then, she used my friends against me to invite her on vacation. I didn't want her to come. I felt pressure because my then close friends were asking why I wouldn't invite her. And I was pretty hard on myself. I thought that if I didn't let her go, they'd never talk to me again. So she came, and she ruined the holiday. I couldn't do anything because I wanted to do something different. She'd wander off without telling me first. She'd listen to music and ignore me. And whenever I insisted we split up, she'd accuse me of trying to let her get attacked on the streets. Holiday's over, we go home, we don't speak for a while. And then there's a pretty dark turn of events on campus, details of which I don't want to divulge, but it was around Christmas, and no one was feeling the spirit. Jane asked if we can decorate the hall, and we all say no. I guess I should have seen it coming, but I woke up in the morning to what was essentially Santa's grotto. I was furious. I definitely overreacted, but I tore it all down. I was so angry she ignored everyone. Some of us were suffering as a result of the aforementioned. Some of us were homesick. None of us wanted to think about Christmas until we were home, and she didn't care. She stormed out and I apologized a few days later, only to be blanked, which was fair enough. I shouldn't have done what I did. The following semester is a stress. I deal with a lot of junk from Jane, and when I tell people what she's doing, I'm called a liar or accused of trying to sabotage because I'm jealous. She invited 4 boys over for a date at the same time and then leaves the building. She makes a mess in the kitchen and she leaves it for me to clean up. Despite announcing herself of having OCD or something, she was the cleanest person when others were there, but when it was just me, she was a slob. Of course, no one believed me. I genuinely felt alone and hurt, like I was going crazy. I hadn't been bullied since I was 12. I wasn't sure what was happening, and everyone I knew talked to Jane, and they had the same opinion. She was so sweet. The year ends and the next 3 years go by and she's not living with us again. But she starts to date within our friend group. People were a little more accepting of what I was saying. I feel vindictive every time she behaves in a way that proves I wasn't lying. Saying, I'd hate to carry a little extra weight to the girls who are sensitive about their weight and bigger than she is. Dating one of our friends and dropping him like a hat. Being ungrateful as a secret Santa. I finally feel like everyone is seeing my point of view, but that was 3 years too late. She made me feel like a horrible person and brought out the worst in me, though I know I should have better control over myself. Well, this is where it gets beautiful. I worked in my college as an elected officer. I held this position for almost the entire time there. I was known for being good at this job. So color me surprised when I wake up to one morning to find both mine and James' name on the ballot paper. I was nervous. I love that job and really worked hard at it. It was voluntary. That took up a lot of my time, but it was helping people and I was incredibly passionate about it. I couldn't believe she would go for it. And I was shocked since she never showed much of an interest before. Well, 3 days of campaigning go by, and my work is being sabotaged. Candy I had left in the kitchen with notes had been stolen. Banners and posters had been torn down. I'd been through 3 campuses in the past and had never had this problem. I spoke to the appropriate people, but I never even suggested it was Jane. I didn't want to believe it was, and I just assumed it was kids. The destruction wasn't widely known, as a lot of friends fixed the damage as they saw and replaced the posters, etc. The day before the results were due to be announced, Jane courted me and demanded I tell her I don't believe it was her. I told her that I hadn't suspected it, but mentioned that a lot of people didn't even know about it. and then walked away. This is where I had to start getting revenge. I couldn't let her take this away from me like she tried to take so many other things, but I couldn't be obvious. I had to play her game. I had to be as subtle as possible. We had to do an evening of questions where the students would ask to ensure we were good for the post. I strived to avoid saying negative outright, but it worked at ensuring people knew where I was coming from. I told them that I have been working in this area for a while and have never had contact from another student interested in helping, as most of the officers did from incoming officers. This meant they knew that Jane had shown no interest in this. People knew we weren't friends at this point, and most knew I didn't like her, though she maintained that I was being childish. People were encouraged to ask questions about the job itself and what the potential officers know about what it entails. It's just like a normal job. You need to know what you're applying for, specific of the things we work with and our understanding of terminology, etc. They asked me, I knew the answers about everything. Jane knew nothing. Normally people would just ask, what would you do in this position? Question time was over. People started talking amongst themselves. Jane was trying to do damage control, but in order to make up for her blunders, she instead chose to drag me through the mud. She mentioned things I had done wrong in the past, even things not related to the position, and was generally quite rude. Not me. I made sure I was in her earshot when I said things like, it's best to have faith in people when you don't know what they're capable of, and you shouldn't vote for me just because I'm familiar with the job. You should vote for someone with a passion too. There was a chance, obviously, that I was shooting myself in the foot and encouraging them to vote for Jane, but the people she spoke to heard me saying neutral things about both of us. This was the first part of me trying to get revenge and really out her for who she is. I posted on Facebook the day before the elections that I was excited about the results, and that no matter what happened, I'd enjoy my time in the position. Jane posted about people who should vote for her. She was the only one to use the final hour of voting to post about herself. Had she done any research, she'd have known it was common practice to use the last hour to encourage voting, but in a general level, no self-promotion. She already looked bad, but she was well liked across the campus as far as I knew. We studied different things, so I knew I'd lost the voters to people in her classes, and I also knew that some people in my classes spoke well of her. I originally told them the truth, but no one believed me, so instead I told stories, mentioned things where she had done casually, so it didn't sound like gossip. I mixed them in with other stories. I was planting the seeds so that they knew what she was like. There was no way to know what the effect of that was, so I simply hoped it worked. All in all, she'd done her best to ruin my life and make me feel bad for weeks. She lied about me, put me down, and tried to turn my friends against me. The election was beginning to feel like a public execution. More people than ever knew about our dislike for one another. For the last day, it seemed to be all anyone was talking about. Result day, I'm in the auditorium, it's packed. Jane is nowhere to be seen, for which I was grateful. I had to show my face, but I was anxious that if I lost, I would have to shake her hand or something. I really wasn't comfortable with that, but I had already prearranged a post to send out if I lost, explaining I was happy to offer assistance, which was mandatory of ex-officers anyway, and that while sad, I would find her other ways to help students, etc. They started to read the results of the other positions, and I felt sick. I genuinely felt as though my lungs were gone and my jaw was so tight my teeth hurt. Finally, they get to my position, read out mine and Jane's name, and then announced the results. We had one of the highest turnouts of voters in that particular position. The only one that got a higher number was a paid president position. I won the majority of the votes, and thousands of votes received. 98% of them were in my favor. That was the best day of my life. Someone said, you gave her enough rope, she did the rest herself. This too, I would not call this pro-revenge. I know it's on pro-revenge, I would call this also petty revenge. Because all she really did was only say kind things or neutral things about her and the person she's going against. And that's about it. I mean, she did win the day and she won the war, but she did it in a very, slight manner. It wasn't like she did this entire scheme to, ruin her life and stuff. Though she did get 98% of the people to follow what she was saying instead of, that might have been like probably her boyfriend at the time and like her favorite teacher voted for her. I guess if that was only 2%. But that's good. I'm glad the good guy wins. It's nice when that happens in real life and not in just the movies. Instead of doing like a really low key one like I have been lately, this one is like really popular so far. 10,000 upvotes, gilded with all the kind of gilds you could ever want. From ProRevenge. 14 people, including me, walk out and protest. So Friday the 13th happened. It was glorious, for all intents and purposes. I run day-to-day operations for a decent-sized company. We have the president who runs the company in-house. He can be tedious, overwhelming, and all in all a dick sometimes. Other times, he can be cool. This was one of the times he was being an overbearing, micromanaging dickbag. As shop foreman, I take my job seriously with morale. If my guys aren't happy, good product isn't produced. If good product isn't produced, customers aren't happy. Looking towards quality control, it doesn't help when guys are overworked, underpaid, and underappreciated. Friday was one of those days that started out well, but by 6:40 a.m., it has deteriorated to poop. Note, we officially don't start work until 7 a.m. After the start, it was complain about this, micromanage that, several people being cussed out and belittled. Everyone had had enough. Once in our programming office, the idea was floated by someone that we shouldn't walk out. He can't fire us all. Now, we've all joked about this time after time, but it's never been more of a thought. We grit our teeth and bear it. That day was something different. After getting yelled at again for something out of control, I finally said screw it. When someone asked if I was in and serious, I said yes. Then it snowballed from there. A total of 20 were supposed to walk out, but due to cold feet and a few talking junk, only 14 made it. At 10 a.m., we made our move. I told everyone to wait until he had been distracted with the machine and we'd all clock out and leave. We all waited. When he was distracted, I gave the round up and signaled everyone and left. A few stopped for a beer to relax. We weren't intending to going back to work to negotiate until Monday. We all met up at a guy's house and discussed what we wanted and what our terms were. One thing was very clear. We all came back, or no one did. After talking for 2.5 hours and coming to our terms, we decided to head back after a text from him. We were going to corner him. We were going to talk it straight. We weren't working anymore. The talk lasted about 2 hours, with both parties flexing their given muscles at some point. But one thing was made clear, things were going to change, or we'd all be looking for new jobs. After several people were threatened with being fired and none being let go, we came to terms that benefited us. For once, our workplace had so much morale. People were excited to work again. We went back to work with a purpose, agenda, and pride. This is the first Monday I've looked forward to work in a year. Even the guys who couldn't come, the people in the main office, we stirred the pot. We've made it known. We're not gonna go through this anymore. I'll vouch for any of my men, and I'll do it again in a heartbeat. Wow, that's crazy. Good job. Kudos to this man, because usually when you do that, the guys up top have enough money to just be like, you know what, just let them go. We'll hire some new people. Just like the first story, it's nice to see like the small person win, the person that's like doing what they're supposed to do and just getting pooped on. Like this is a good example of protesting gone right instead of protesting gone wrong. Anyways, I really hope you guys enjoyed these pro-revenge stories. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know down below. Do not forget to like and subscribe and comment and do all that. That helps the channel and the videos so much. This community just keeps on growing. Thank you guys for all that you're doing, viewing and commenting and everything. The part that you guys do is awesome. I'll be back very soon with another video. Thank you guys so much and goodbye, my lovelies.